Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Boxing. I'm Leti.
I'm LB.
And how about we just get in to this fight that everybody has a lot to say about. So we had Devin Haney,
the dream,
out of Oakland, California, but resides in Las Vegas, versus Vasiliy Lomachenko representing Ukraine,
aka the Matrix.
So I'm gonna let you start it off and take the lead on this one.
Woo! What an amazing fight! Once again, this is what you call the Super Bowl of the lightweight division, and it did not disappoint. It was action-packed, and this is exactly what you get when you get the best fighting the best.
Exactly.
Woo!
Yeah, like you said, that is what the fight looks like when you're fighting the best. Now, like we said, the controversy, some people thought Loma won that fight. When the decision was being made as to who was going to win, we were like, damn, like this fight was close that we're not mad if it goes either way.
Yep.
At all. Now, I feel like this kind of fight was the battle of the counter punches at one point, because it's like every time Devin would land something on Loma will come back and counter quick. Yeah. Vice versa. Every time Loma would land something on Devin will come out and just counter him real quick.
Yeah.
They were using both angles. They were both turning each other around at one point. So they both know how to use the ring very well. This was the battle of the counter punches, because every time one of the fighters was landing something on the other one would come in real quick and just counter punch. To the fact that at some point we were like, damn, did that land? Did that not? Because they were so quick with their movement. Yeah. And I mean, Devin got the win, but I'm going to say that we definitely did have to rewatch the fight.
Yeah.
But I'll let you kind of, we'll go into that a little bit more. But I'm going to let you just talk about what you think each fighter did good and what you think that fighter did better.
Man, I'm going to start off by saying that this was probably one of the best body attacks that we've seen from Devin Haney.
Absolutely.
That, you know, a lot of that gets missed, but those are scoring punches just as well as if, you know, they were go to the head. But I thought he did a good job of that. You know, when he did want to box from the outside, you know, throughout the fight, I thought he did do well. You know, he was able to land that jab, and also, you know, when he did land that left hook, he was able to land some, you know, a few good left hooks that were nasty. You know, also, you know, he did use, you know, Devin Haney did use some good movement. And now Loma, on the other hand, he was doing a good job of landing that straight left hand. He was able to catch Devin Haney in spots when Devin Haney was relaxed. Every time it seemed like Devin Haney relaxed, Lomachenko made him pay for it, you know, and more so than any other fighter that we've seen. And he was able to cut that distance so fast.
I think in the first
round.
With
that left hook. But I think a lot of that also was the fact that you know, Devin Haney came out with a, you know, I'm trying to fight more so than any other fight we know seen at Devin Haney. Yeah. But I thought Loma did a good job of landing that left hand and following Devin Haney out. You know, when Devin Haney was exiting, you know, Loma was able to capitalize. You know, that's part of those Loma tricks I was talking about. Yeah. And he was able to land more shots on Devin Haney that we've ever seen someone land on Devin.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with that. He did get hit more than the other fighters because, like you have said, even in the other video we did, is Devin was going to have to make it into a fight. Now, I do wish that Devin would have used his jab more, because when Devin uses, every time Loma would try to come in, and there was a few times that Devin just popped him, like didn't let him in, and he did hurt him, pushing him back that way. Yeah. And I just feel like we said he just wanted to make it a rugged fight with Loma. Yeah. That's what he got. Against him, and Loma definitely did have success in the fight as well as Devin. And Loma, on the other hand, when he was, like we said, we're not used to Devin being hit as much like that. So I feel like when Loma would have spurs in rounds, I feel like maybe that's where the whole thing, it just kind of seemed like, oh, he dominated that round type of thing. But we were not used to seeing Devin get hit as much. So when Loma had that success, it kind of seemed like, okay.
Yeah, and another thing, you know, about, you know, like these rounds were probably the most competitive rounds. I was, you know, even though, you know, when I was judging some of these rounds, you know, the first time I watched the fight, I was like, these, you know, the rounds that I was giving Devin Haney, I was like, man, these are probably the most competitive rounds we've seen Devin Haney in.
Absolutely.
And so
Absolutely.
and you could even though, you know, like in the beginning of the fight, I was giving Devin these rounds, but I was like we're not used to seeing him in these type of competitive rounds.
And we could see how they can go both ways. If one judge had it to Loma and the other judge had it to Devin, it's like, I see how they could probably go, you know, either way. Now there was some rounds that were clearly for one, you know, one or the other fighter.
Yeah.
But damn, like, I can't be mad. I know a lot of people are mad and upset about it, but honestly, after the fight, like we said, we were not mad at who won this, because they were just fighting. And one, we could say, you could see the youth and Devin in there, you know, staying up the 12 rounds. Wasn't huffing and puffing crazy. And Loma, you could just see his veteranism, if that's a word, like in the ring, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and to kind of talk about that veteranism and that in that gear, you can say that, you know, Loma had the most dominant rounds when in rounds 10 and 11. You know, I talked about Devin Haney's jab, but I will say something. Loma's jab was working really well this fight too.
It was snapping Devin's head back.
He was showing he had a nice little jab.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, it was snapping back. But and so you know, this is what you get when you get the best fighting the best. You get a close competitive fight, and I was just, as a boxing fan, I was just enjoying this fight so much.
Absolutely. Like I said, obviously there had to be not a winner, and it had to be a winner. And we could not be talking about a robbery, because a robbery is going to be into where you clearly define this person outboxed him for the whole fight and they gave it to the other. Like that Rolly and the other stoppage that they did. That to me is something. But when you have such a close fight that can literally go both ways, you can't call that a robbery. Number two, I feel like the only reason why also they were kind of going in on Loma won the fight was because of that dominant 10 and 11 round. I think they're forgetting about all the other rounds that Devin did win on. And like I said, after the fight, we were kind of like, damn, maybe it can go this way, it can go that way. So after rewatching the rounds multiple times, we can see how they could have gave Devin that leaning towards Devin to win the fight.
And
honestly, I don't want to take away anything from any fighter, because they both deserved it. Devin was the better man that night, and I don't want like people to take anything away from him, because he is still the undisputed fighter. He won that fight. Loma did a great job, but it's boxing. Go back and rewatch the fight. Please go back and rewatch the fight. I know people are invested in a specific fighter. But when it comes to scoring these cards and people putting their lives in the rings, you cannot be biased on, I think this person won because I'm so invested in this person. I'm just saying, go rewatch the fight, and then try not to be biased watching it, and then, you know, be honest about, you know, each round. That's all I'm going to say.
That's all you got to say.
That's all I got to say.
And so to kind of go over what the scorecards have. One judge gave the one round 7. You know, two judges had it 7-5, and that's just one round that Devin Haney won by 1 round. And then another judge had it where Devin Haney won by 2 rounds. Now after the very first time that we watched it, like you said, you know, we were like, you know what, we didn't know which way it was gonna go, and you know, it could have gone either way. Now, but you know, and everyone was calling and, you know, calling us, asking us what we thought of the fight, and I was telling everyone, you know what, I felt like it could go either way, but I was like, I have to rewatch this fight. I have to rewatch this fight, and I felt like as soon as the fight was over, I was like, everyone's gonna have to go back, and I feel like this fight was just gonna be automatically rewatched because of how close it was.
Yeah.
And so after rewatching the fight, we watched it with no sound.
Yeah.
We watched it with no sound because, you know, it was clear, you know, how the crowd felt when Devin Haney even first walked out.
Right.
So we kind of knew how the crowd was going to be. And so, but when you rewatch that fight, another thing that kind of sticks out to me is, you know, we kind of already talked about the fact that Devin Haney doesn't, we're not used to getting, you know, seeing him get hit. And, you know, when you're watching the fight, one of the things that you're going to remember, you remember when the crowd is loud, and also the fact that, you know, Devin Haney didn't take the punches as well as, Lomachenko was taking him. So, you know, so it's easy to remember, some of those shots that Loma was landing because of the simple fact that, yeah, he was snapping Devin's heads back. But when you go ahead and you rewatch the fight and you count and you look at the punches and you score the punches, it tells a different story.
Right. And I mean, it's difficult to see again,
Yeah.
Personally, I love both boxers and I'm a fan of the sport itself. So we want the correct person to win. So, come for me, whatever. But like you said, we're watching those, doing the round by round, looking at the punches, seeing how they were landing.
Yeah.
Certain ones were being dipped and
Yeah.
dodged.
Yeah. And you can, because, and also, after watching that fight, the first time and then coming back a second time, you already know how the fight goes, and I started to look at some of the flurries, that Loma was throwing. Not all those punches were landing, and sometimes out of the whole flurry, there was one punch landed, but so when after rewatching the fight, like I said, the first time I felt like it could go either way. For any fighter, I wasn't going to be upset, and I would have been fine with the score because it was a close fight.
Absolutely.
And then after rewatching, I walked away thinking that Devin Haney won a close fight.
Yep, absolutely. And I mean, Loma did his thing. He showed that he ain't old like people was talking about. He still got it, and he could still be a champ at a division. And even if he decides to stay at 135, we'll talk about that. If Devin goes up, I think that Loma does have a good chance of taking one of the belts. But with that being said, I mean, after the fight, of course, Loma thought he won that fight. Devin thought he won it. And I mean, we did see Loma breaking down in the back, crying, which, I mean, it hits you, of course, because he didn't bring back the belts for his son, he was saying. But he himself said, I don't want to talk about it. I need to go back. I think I won, but I don't know how many rounds. I need to go back and rewatch the fight. So I'm so curious to see what he's going to say after rewatching the fight. And of course, I don't know if boxers say, no, I still won, if they really thought they won or they didn't, but.
And there was a lot of fighters, or a lot of people that were there where thought that Lomachenko won the fight. And I'll say this, in a fight like this, because in a fight like this, when you go and actually watch, I know that it's easier to see what Loma was doing when you're actually at the fight because of how Devin Haney was reacting to the punches. And it's easy, when you're seeing it up front to see, okay, the head snapping back versus, the actual body work. You got the ropes that are right there at your ringside. It's hard to see. And so all those, I would like to see, those boxers that were actually there to actually rewatch it on TV and actually score it as well.
Did a few people rewatch it that of online?
Yeah, I saw that a lot of them were going to actually rewatch the fight. So I'm curious. I can't wait to see what some of these people have.
And like we said, Loma had a great left hand. He kept landing that on Devin, especially when he'd give Devin on the ropes. That's when you talked about the little flurries that he had. He had those quick little flurries. But again, like we said, every time Loma, for the most part, when he landed one, Devin would come back and counter him. And like we said, vice versa. I said at one point, damn, this looks like the Lion King. If you guys know where I think Scar and Safari or Mufasa, Scar and Mufasa are like fighting and they're just hitting each other, countering. We'll probably try to find a picture below so you guys know what I'm talking about. But I was like, at one point, damn, it reminded me of that, just countering. It was just like, oh, he got one. Oh, he got one back. Oh, he got one. He got one back. And like Yui has said in the prediction, it's going to be kind of like a mirror at a certain point. And that's kind of at some point what it was. And it was like, okay, this person has this run. Oh, shoot, but they came back and did this. So I can't be mad at the decision. Like we said, it is what it is. And it was a great fight.
It was a great fight.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to talk about in this fight is actually the punches landed in this fight. So if you look at the punches landed in this fight, Loma outlanded Devin Haney by a total of 14 punches. But the other thing I wanted to say is in that clear dominant round, when in round 11, that's where really that difference really came in when it comes to punches, because we know that Devin Haney only landed 2 punches in that round versus Loma's 20.
Loma did his thing on that round.
So that just kind of shows, how, if it wasn't for that 11th round, which had an 18-point advantage for Loma, pretty much Devin Haney was out, outlanding Lomachenko. And the other thing, when you're scoring these rounds, you have to score each round individually as it's its own individual fight.
Right.
And so, a lot of people are calling robbery, but for the people that are calling robbery, actually, definitely like we say, go back and rewatch and actually score the fight round by round. And you can see, how close this fight actually is. There's a couple rounds where we had to watch more than one time.
More than 2-3 times.
Yeah, just to say, how close and competitive this fight was.
Yeah, and come to say, as I said, if it wasn't for that 10-11 round, and it's towards the end where that's what everyone is remembering of the fight, they're going to feel like, oh, it was a robbery, it was whoop-de-whoop, Loma. But honestly, guys, rewatch it. And again, Loma, I love Loma. He did a great job. And there had to be a winner. Yep. And Devin took it. Congratulations to Devin and his team. They both, I'm sure, put in hella work for this fight.
Yep. And this is the one. This is a huge fight. They delivered for the fans.
Thank you
oh my
gosh. This fight.
Yeah. Action packed, and for I don't know how anyone could walk away from this fight saying that this fight was boring, and this was a chess match. Usually they say, chess matches, you're not exciting. This was exciting.
Yes, yep. It was so great. I was so happy. We had a great weekend because we had to rewatch it multiple times on Sunday just to make sure it was like, okay. But what's next for both of the fighters?
I think so. When it comes to Devin Haney, it all depends on if he's gonna stay at this weight class or not. I definitely think. Me personally as a fan, what I would like to see, I would like to see him versus Gervonta Tank Davis. Tank Davis. And I say that for the simple fact of, I feel like Devin only has one. If he's gonna stay at lightweight, I feel like he only has one fight left in him.
That's
right?
what we said last time when it was coming to Loma.
Yeah, but
because we didn't even get to see the weigh-in and how he actually looked.
Yeah, we didn't, because it was just a ceremonial weigh-in.
Yeah.
But if he has one fight left, the fight I think he should make is the Gervonta Tank Davis. Yeah. And I say that for the simple fact of that, they're the last of the four kings, standard. And we just need to cap that off. And so rather than Devin, fighting someone else and us not getting that, we just got to get closure on that.
Right. And I agree with that. We would love to watch that. And now I'm thinking, though, do you think after this fight, the whole controversial thing where like, I think Loma won, do you think Tank would be more open to fighting Devin? Because, before, I don't know. But now, what do you think? You think it changed for Tank or he would meet him halfway?
You know what? You never know really when it comes to Tank. But I will say that, I've been following, his coach. One of his coaches, not Coach Kenny Ellis, and it seems like they want either, from his point of view, it seems like they want either Devin or Shakur next. But yeah, I think this fight that just happened with Devin, I feel like it's gonna do good rewatch value and pay-per-view. So I think that
closer. Yeah,
I feel like it's closer, and I'm just hoping that that it can happen.
Now, I know that there was a rematch clause between Devin and Loma, obviously, if Devin didn't win the fight. Yeah. But do you think because there's so much controversy, whatever the word is, between the fight, do you think Devin would want a rematch with Loma just to cap it off and be like, okay, you guys talking all this, I'm gonna show you the second time? Do you think that would even happen?
I think if it makes sense. I know a lot of people would want to see a fight like that.
Yeah, and I haven't heard Loma ask for a rematch either.
Yeah. Devin has options really at 135. Yeah. We also saw Shakur get in the ring, and these are all all three of those now are good fights. Yeah. He could go either way. I think his decision making is gonna really be on. How if he can make the weight or not. Yeah, but true. If he has one fight, if I'm Devin and I have one fight left, I would want that Gervonta Davis fight just because I'm about to leave the division. Of course. And all the talk has been between those two.
leave it out with a bang. I'm just saying, you
Yeah.
know, as a competitor, you're
Yeah.
like the competitive.
Yeah.
I'm thinking to me, the competitive me, I'd be
Yeah.
like, oh, you guys think, let me show you again.
Yeah.
But it would
But
make sense to do the Tank when if he
Yeah.
has that one more fight. Or I'm even thinking if he goes up into 140, I know Tank didn't want to do like more, I think he did at 136 or something with Ryan, but maybe he does need more with Devin towards the 140 division.
Yeah, well, I think, well, you know, Devin pretty much said he's not doing no, you know, they're not going to do any catch weights or anything like that. So I think it would probably be have to be at either 140 or 135.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see, but hopefully that fight does happen. But I mean, what do you think? Loma's not out the picture for sure. So what do you think is up for Loma? You think he's gonna go down?
I mean, I think it all depends, but I would say like this: Top Rank should definitely be excited, just for the simple fact that people were thinking Loma won. Loma still, that just shows that his value is still top.
Yeah,
you know, he really did. He know, he didn't lose anything. You know, from this fight, and you know, everyone was saying that he looked like the old Loma during this fight. So you know, I think that fight with him and Shakur is a good fight. It's a great fight now. Because then also it'll draw the comparisons. Well, then we'll be looking at, okay, comparing what Devin did versus what Shakur did.
That part.
And so, and that way, it makes for a good fight. And everyone will want to see it.
Absolutely. That part, exactly what I would be thinking. If he does that Shakur, then you can really compare. Because you can get that Tank and Devin, you know, out the way. You get that Loma and Shakur out the way. Then you can see, like you said, how Shakur fought him compared to how Devin fought him.
Yeah.
That would be a good fight.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know the other thing I like about that too is Shakur is coming from a lower division, and Loma came from a lower division, so you know the size isn't gonna be or be more closer in size.
Yeah, but I mean I still feel like Shakur is a little bigger still, but
you know
obviously he fought Devin, which is a bigger guy, but Loma, don't count Loma out, boy. Do not count him out. He's a smaller one, but you can't count out the small guys because he showed his ring IQ in that ring and just he looked great. He looked great. He didn't look old. And Loma also said when asked how Devin's competition was, he said he's not pound for pound. Yeah. He said Tio was a better
he said
fighter.
Tio and Leonardis
they were the better man.
He said
But you can be talking off emotion and whatnot. Yeah. If you think about it, the fight was so close to close. Then who's the better fighter? Say Devin.
Yeah.
But you know, you're talking off emotion or whatever. That's why he even said like I don't want to talk right now about it when I'm in
this fight, you know, there was a lot of going on in this fight that probably a lot of beef probably started in this fight with the push, and no one wasn't happy about that, and you could see that Loma did have some frustration.
That's right. Loma said, "I'm gonna get you back." He got him back in some of those rounds.
Yeah, but he threw Devin down, so
he did. So he walked off like hilarious.
But so when he was saying those things, I wasn't shocked, considering how everything played out. And we did see Shakur jump in the ring.
Oh, he did.
We did see Shakur jump in the ring, and
what did he say?
And what did he say? And then as Devin's walking away, he goes, "I'm number one." And Shakur goes, "Oh, for now." And so I think, Andy jumped in the ring and said that he thought that Loma won the fight and he should be the undisputed champion.
Yeah, he said Loma's undisputed champion. He won the fight.
And I'll just say this: after watching, just seeing that little interaction, they are making for a super fight when they end up fighting. Devin and Shakur, and I think it's just getting started.
What did you say? That fight between them is gonna be what?
Now that's gonna be the master chess match right there.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, that's all we got. Once again, congrats to the undisputed champion out of Oakland, smoking.
Yeah.
Devin the Dream Haney. And, we can't wait to see what either of these fighters, has next. Let us know below what you guys thought of the fight or who you guys want to see him fight next.
Yep.
But that's all we got. So thanks for tuning in, y'all.
And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Or talk your shit. And we are.